Some people play life like checkers, jumping one square at a time. Others, they're quietly playing chess, 10 moves ahead, while the rest of us are still figuring out the rules. The difference isn't luck, it's strategy. And today, I'm going to show you how to think like that, without turning into a robot or quoting business textbooks. Now, let's be honest. Most of us aren't strategic by default. We're reactive. Something happens, and boom, we respond. Somebody cuts us off in traffic, and suddenly we're auditioning for Fast and Furious 12 Suburban Road Rage. A deadline sneaks up on us, and we're pulling an all-nighter fueled by caffeine and panic. That's normal. But here's the catch. Living like that makes you the ball in the pinball machine, bouncing wherever life smacks you. A strategic genius? They're the one holding the flippers. They see the whole table. They know how to tilt it just enough to send the ball exactly where they want. That's what makes them powerful. So, how do you actually think like that? How do you go from reacting to orchestrating? Step 1. Ask better questions. It all starts with the questions running inside your head. Most people ask surface-level ones. What do I do next? How do I fix this? Strategic thinkers ask the spicier questions. Why does this matter? What happens if I ignore it? What does this decision look like 3 months from now, not just tomorrow? Imagine you're at work and your boss says, "We need this report as soon as possible." A reactive brain rushes to finish the report. A strategic brain pauses and asks, "Why ASAP? Who's this for? What decision depends on it? Is there a smarter way to give them what they actually need instead of wasting 6 hours formatting charts they'll never look at?" Asking better questions is like upgrading your brain's GPS. Instead of just finding the shortest route, you're finding the smartest route. And that's what separates the firefighters from the chess masters. Step 2. The power of the pause. Here's something nobody tells you. Geniuses don't think faster, they think slower. They insert a pause between stimulus and response. That pause is the magic. Picture this. You're at a family dinner. Your uncle, who thinks Facebook comments are research, makes a ridiculous political claim. Everyone turns to you. Now, you could react instantly, launch into a fact check, argue, raise your voice. But what does that win you? A headache and maybe a broken relationship. A strategic pause? That lets you breathe, assess the room, and decide, what's the win here? Do I really want to debate this? Or do I steer the conversation toward dessert? Sometimes the genius move isn't the smartest comeback. It's the smirk and subject change that saves your peace and secures the last slice of pie. That pause, my friend, is where strategy is born. Step 3. Anticipation, seeing around corners. You ever notice how the best drivers on the road don't just watch the car in front of them? They're scanning 3 cars ahead, catching the brake lights early. That's anticipation. Strategic geniuses train themselves to do this in life. They don't just solve the problem in front of them. They think, what happens next? And after that? And what chain reaction does this trigger? For example, let's say you're about to quit your job because your boss drives you insane. A reactive brain sends the resignation email at 2 a.m. A strategic brain asks, what does life look like 3 months after quitting? Do I have savings? Am I leaving on good terms so I can use this boss as a reference later? What's my plan after the exit? Suddenly, instead of burning a bridge, you're building a staircase. That's anticipation, strategic foresight that turns emotional impulses into calculated plays. Step 4. Find leverage. If strategy were a gym workout, leverage is the deadlift. It gives you insane output for a small input. Most people attack problems like a tug of war, pull harder, grind more hours, push with brute force. Strategic thinkers ask, where's the leverage? What's the small shift that flips the entire situation? Think about Archimedes. He said, give me a place to stand and a lever long enough, and I will move the world. That's not just physics, it's strategy. Let's make it real. Say you want to lose weight. A non-strategic approach? Suffer through random workouts, starve yourself, cry over kale. A strategic approach? Fix your sleep schedule. Suddenly, your cravings drop, your energy improves, your workouts get easier, and the weight comes off faster. One move, 10 ripple effects. That's leverage. Strategic geniuses aren't working harder than you. They're working smarter in places that multiply results. Step 5. Perspective shifts. You want to know a deadly weapon in strategy? Empathy. Sounds soft, almost too gentle for something as sharp as strategy, right? But in reality, stepping into someone else's shoes is like sneaking a look at their playbook. It's insight disguised as kindness. Take negotiating, for example. Most people walk in laser-focused on what they want, but the strategic mind flips it. Instead of asking, "How do I win?" they ask, "What's on the other side of the table?" What do they actually fear losing? What would make them feel like they've won, even if I get what I came for? Suddenly, it's not a tug of war. It's you quietly guiding the rope where you want it to go, while the other person believes they're pulling it their way. Here's a simple trick for practicing it. The next time you're stuck in a problem, swivel your perspective and ask, how would a total outsider see this? Imagine a stranger walking past your situation. What would they notice that you've become blind to? That tiny shift often unlocks a completely new angle. Strategic geniuses treat perspectives like sunglasses. They don't wear the same pair all day. They switch lenses depending on the lighting, sometimes tinted, sometimes clear, sometimes polarized, because every lens reveals details the others miss. And here's the real secret. The more perspectives you can adopt, the less trapped you ever feel. What looks like a brick wall in one frame often reveals itself as a hidden door in another. The trick is having the flexibility to swap lenses until you spot the exit everyone else overlooked. Step 6. Timing, the invisible trump card. If strategy is the game, timing is the cheat code. A decent move delivered at the right moment can look like pure brilliance, but take that same move, drop it in the wrong moment, and suddenly it's not genius, it's a disaster. That's the razor-thin line timing creates. Think about comedy. The same joke, the same punchline, delivered half a beat too late, and you get silence. Delivered at the perfect split second, people are doubled over, wiping tears, begging you to stop because they can't breathe. That's timing, and strategy works exactly the same way. Patience becomes a weapon in the hands of a strategist. Most people hate waiting. They panic, they rush, they force decisions just to feel like they're moving. But the strategic mind knows better. They know waiting isn't weakness. It's pressure building. Sometimes the smartest move you can make is not to move at all, to let the situation cook, to watch people reveal their intentions, to let the field shift in your favor. And then, when the alignment is just right, you strike, and it looks effortless. Think of chess masters. They don't shuffle their pieces around just to feel busy. They wait. They lure. They let the board stretch, let their opponent overextend, and then, one clean move, they collapse the whole game into a checkmate. That's what timing does. It separates the amateurs who waste energy proving themselves from the masters who know that the right move, at the right moment, is worth 10 moves played too soon. Step 7. Master yourself before the game. All of this, questions, pauses, anticipation, leverage, perspectives, timing, it all crumbles if you can't master yourself. Strategy isn't just about the moves you make out there in the world. It's about the discipline you maintain inside your own head. Here's the harsh truth. You can't think strategically if you're ruled by emotion. The minute anger grabs the wheel, strategy isn't just shaky, it's gone. Decisions made in heat almost always backfire. That's why the best strategists carry an almost unnerving calm. It's not that life throws less chaos at them. It's that they've trained themselves to steady their inner world before stepping onto the battlefield outside. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone blow up an opportunity because they couldn't keep their ego in check? One careless outburst, one defensive reaction, and months of progress vanish. That's what happens when impulse outruns insight. A strategic genius might feel the sting too. They're human, but they don't hand over the steering wheel to emotion. They pause, breathe, and choose their response with surgical precision. Because control isn't just self-discipline, it's the foundation of clarity. And clarity? That's like having X-ray vision in the middle of chaos. While everyone else is blinded by noise, you see through it. Clean lines, hidden openings, and the exact path forward. That's the edge only self-mastery gives you. Step 8. Turning life into a game. Here's the beautiful part. Once you start thinking strategically, life doesn't just feel easier. It feels like it changes shape. Problems stop looking like walls you slam into and start looking like mazes you can navigate. Every obstacle that once felt like a dead end suddenly becomes a chance to use leverage, like hidden doors you never noticed before. Even the chaos that used to overwhelm you now starts to look like a giant board game where you've unlocked secret rules nobody else knows about. And the more you practice, the sharper it gets. Suddenly, you're spotting subtle patterns in conversations, things people don't even realize they're revealing. You start predicting their next moves before they even make them, not because you're psychic, but because you've trained your brain to think 2, 3, even 5 steps ahead. You find yourself steering outcomes with small, almost invisible adjustments, instead of exhausting yourself with big, dramatic battles. People around you notice too. They call you lucky. They wonder how you stay calm while everyone else is panicking, how you always seem to land on your feet when things go sideways. What they don't realize is that luck has very little to do with it. You've simply rewired your brain. You've stopped reacting and started strategizing. And once you see the game that way, you can't unsee it. You carry that calm, quiet advantage everywhere you go. Here's how you start. Don't try to overhaul your life overnight. Just pick one small practice every day. Tomorrow, when something annoys you, pause before reacting. When you make a decision, ask, what happens 3 moves from now? When you're working on something hard, ask, where's the leverage? When you're dealing with someone difficult, ask, what's their perspective? That's it. Small reps. One pause, one better question, one perspective shift at a time. Strategy isn't built in a weekend. It's layered, day by day, until suddenly, you're not just surviving life's chaos, you're shaping it. So here's the bottom line. Strategic geniuses aren't some rare breed of superhumans. They're just people who paused longer, asked sharper questions, thought further ahead, found smarter leverage, and mastered their timing. They turned life into a game where they're not just reacting, they're orchestrating. And you can do it too, not by memorizing formulas, not by copying someone else's playbook, but by rewiring the way you think, little by little. So the next time you face a challenge, don't just ask, what do I do right now? Ask, what's the bigger game here? And what move sets me up not just for this moment, but for the next 10? That's when people start looking at you differently. That's when you stop feeling like life's punching bag and start feeling like the quiet mastermind pulling the strings. Try it this week. One pause, one better question, one smart move. That's how strategy sneaks in. And if you're ready to keep sharpening your mind and leveling up how you think, stick around, because this is just the beginning.